Welcome to Wednesday evening yoga. Thank you very much for joining me. And as you practice at home, do be aware of any objects around you and pay attention to how you feel as we move. Don't do anything that doesn't feel right, and know that you can make any adjustments to what we do, or you can rest. We're going to start lying down. So find a comfortable place on the floor. And once you feel comfy, take your attention to your breath. With your attention on your breath, you take control of your breath. So breathe deliberately, slowly but comfortably. Steady breath in, a steady breath out. And in your mind, take a count of 4 to breathe in, 4 to breathe out. So take a few breaths to see what speed of counting feels comfortable. But settle into that pattern. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out the same count, whatever count suits you. Often we want to rush. Don't rush. Keep the pace of counting the same. Let your breath match your counting. Your attention completely taken up with your breath and matching it to your count of 4. Then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the mat. We're going to very gently roll up and down in Setu Bandha bridge position. But we're going to use the breath again. First of all, set your feet comfortably flat on the floor. Heels are close in towards your hips. Feet are hip distance apart, toes very slightly turned in. And arms by your sides, palm face down. You can imagine that the centre of your back, down your spine, is like the sticky bit of a post-it note. We're going to be peeling it up and then smoothing it back down. So the tailbone end is where you're going to start to lift up. Press down through your feet, through your arms, and then pick up that tailbone. Feel as if you're unsticking, peeling up the yellow stickiness. Lifting your hips high. Peeling it up. When you get to the top, you come straight back down again, as if your thumb is smoothing the sticky bit back down from top to bottom, so down through the back ribs, the back waist, hips down last. When you land down, then you pick up again. See if you can match a breath in with your lift up and a breath out as you smooth back down. If that breath feels too slow, then take a whole cycle of breath, an in and an out to lift up, and an in and an out to go back down. So you keep your hips lifting into that same position, that sticky note. We're going to move the arms as we normally do, taking them over beyond the head. So as you next take your lift up away from the floor, You take your arms up towards the ceiling and then continue your arms. They land on the floor behind you as your hips come to their highest place. And as you smooth your sticky back down on the floor from top to bottom, your arms go back up towards the ceiling and then they land on the floor the same moment your hips land on the floor. Make this one your last one. Once you land back down, rest there. Bring your knees onto your chest. Take your hands around your knees. Have a rock side to side. And bring your feet back down onto the floor. Roll over to one side. Bring yourself up to standing. We do our salute to the sun. So you want to be standing at the front end of your mat. So your feet are firm on the floor. Toes are pointing forwards, feet may be together, but if your feet aren't comfy together, take them a little bit apart, but have your toes pointing forwards. Come to your full height. So there's length up the back of your body, length up the front of your body. Even length equal on the back of your neck and the front of your neck. And then lift your arms up towards the ceiling. So find how there's always a little bit more length that you can take to reach up without hoiking your shoulders up, but feel how your elbows probably aren't completely straight. Maybe your upper arms can move closer to the wall behind you, even if it's just a millimetre. Look up between your hands. And then still lifting up, but reach your arms back and wide. And let the centre of your chest come closer to the ceiling. Your shoulders can move away from your ears. It's like the centre of your shoulder blades pushing up through your chest towards the ceiling. Look forwards, reach up again. And take a forward fold. So you can bend your knees as much as you like. Fingertips on the floor, soften your shoulders. Let your head and neck be completely loose, so you're looking between your legs. Right leg steps all the way back to a lunge, and then lift your chest to look forwards. Left foot back to down face dog. Tummy button towards your spine. Hands and feet firm on the floor. It's like you want to take your hips up and back. And then slide your hips forwards. Shoulders over your wrists. Knees down on the floor. Smoothly your front body lands. So front of your thighs, your hips, your tummy, your chest, all the way down. Elbows close in by your sides. And roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. Look back down at the floor. Push up to hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, lift back into down face dog, and then take a walk through your legs. So your hips can stay still as you stretch your legs one at a time. And as you stretch a leg, stretch the whole length of the back of the leg, even up through the back of the thigh. And then stretch both legs. Weight on your right foot, Weight on your left foot, sorry. Look between your hands, step your right foot through to a lunge. Step your left foot forwards, forward fold. And then a deep bend of your knees, hips drop down low. Lift your spine, so you've got almost a curve in your back. You just need to straighten your legs to come up as tall as you can. Straight arms, palms together, and then keep that height as you slide your hands down. Lift your arms again. So reaching up high. Looking up, reach back and wide. And your fingertips go a bit closer to the back corners of the ceiling. Look forwards, reach up. Forward fold. Left leg back to a lunge. And right foot back to down face dog. Forwards to plank. Tummy button to spine, like it's supporting the whole length of your spine. So if you're feeling strong, leave your knees lifted. Otherwise, place your knees down on the floor. And then lower your front body down. If your knees are lifted, can you land every part of the front of your body at the same moment? Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Look down, hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, down face dog. Tummy button to spine. Firm hands, firm feet. And a steady breath. So the stretch that you were looking for one leg at a time before, now we're looking for on both legs. And it's the whole length of the back of the legs. So by pulling the heels down, you can get a stretch on the calf. A bit more stretch on the calf by thinking about the calf moving towards the wall behind. And then the backs of the thighs, can they splay out and move closer to the wall behind? Feel how that might move your hips back a bit. Hands have to be really strong on the floor to hold your hips back now. And then weight on your right foot, look between your hands. Step the left foot forwards to a lunge. Right foot forwards, forward fold. A bend of your knees, hips down low, and then lift your shoulders, your spine. Come all the way up to standing. Tall again, stretching up, palms together, slide your palms down. We're going to do it all with the breath. See if you can move continuously until we get to our second down face dog, the down face dog that we hold for a few breaths. See if you can keep moving smoothly and continuously. So a breath in to lift your arms. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right leg back to a lunge. Exhale, down face dog. Inhale, plank. Option to drop your knees. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down face dog. So now you stay a little stiller. Step your feet together. So the inside edges of your feet are touching. Tummy button to spine. And you're going to lift your right leg up high towards the ceiling. And then turn your right hip out to the right, as if you're lifting your right hip up higher than your left hip, so that your foot can go closer to the ceiling. Bend your right knee. Feels like your right heel is trying to touch your left shoulder. And your shoulders stay square to the mat as your right hip lifts up. And your left heel pushes down towards the floor. Steady, slow breath. A real lift up and out of the right knee. And then straighten the right leg, square your hips to the mat, bring your right foot back down on the floor. Feet a little bit apart, down face dog. Weight on your left foot, look between your hands, and then a breath in as your right leg steps through. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, palms slide down. Breath in here. And a breath out. Smooth, continuous movements. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, back bend. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, left leg back to a lunge. Exhale, down face dog. Inhale, plank. Option to drop your knees. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down face dog. Tummy button to spine. Steady breath. Step your feet together. And this time you're going to pick up the left leg. So straight left leg lifts up. Lovely. And then you'll get the heel higher to the ceiling if you turn your hip out to the left. Lovely. Then bend your knee. Send your heel towards your right shoulder. So that knee is moving, left knee moving up and away from your face. And your right heel pushing to the floor, your hands pushing firmly. Steady breath. Looking good. And then straighten your left leg. Bring that, square your hips. Bring your foot back down to the floor. Down face dog. Weight on the right foot. Look between your hands. Breath in, left foot forwards. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand up. Palms together as high as you can, and then palms slide down. You keep that height. Breath in here. And a breath out. And then rest your arms by your sides. Keeping that slow, steady breath. That's best in the heat of the evening. We're going to balance in tree pose, Vrikshasana. So keeping that height. If you want to for tree pose, you might want to have somewhere to steady yourself. So you might want to walk to a wall, have the wall by your side, either side, doesn't matter, or in front of you. Anything that you can hold on to is fine. Use it or don't use it. And balance on the right leg. Bend your left knee, turn it out to the left. And you can rest your heel on your ankle. So that's your first option. And this is a better option than putting your hand on something. Because if you put your hand on something, then you've got the two places of contact, the floor and whatever your hand's on. They're a long way apart. It's very easy to balance like this. With just two places very close together, your right foot and your left toes. It's a lot harder. So this is harder than having your foot lifted on your leg and holding on to something. So just consider that. If you want to balance on one leg then, you slide your left foot up to your calf or all the way up onto your thigh, anywhere but the inside of your knee. So choose a place to hold your gaze. Bring your palms together. Lift tall again. Your shoulders and your hips are square to the front, and the outside of your bent leg eases back towards the wall behind. So you're opening your left hip. Steady your gaze, reach your arms up to the ceiling. If you prefer, you can keep your arms in front. But stretch your elbows straight. Steady, slow breath. You might even want to take that count of 4 to breathe in and 4 to breathe out. Maximum gentle stretch of the arms. And then quietly bring your hands in front of your chest. And then bring your foot to the floor, your hands by your sides. Have a moment there. And if after that moment you need to shake anything, then feel free to shake it. Bend your right knee, turn your right knee out to the side. Heel to ankle. So option 1. Option 2, foot to your calf. Option 3, foot to your thigh. Whatever you like. And even if you try foot to thigh and it doesn't really work out, that's fine. You can move if you need to. Arms come together. So keeping your hips and shoulders square to the front. Ease the outside of the right thigh back to the wall behind. Steady your gaze. Lift to your highest. Lift your arms if you want to. Stretch your arms. And without your front ribs pulling forwards, let your front ribs feel soft, but your upper arms just go a little bit closer to the wall behind. Bring your hands back down to your heart center. Foot to the floor. Arms by your sides. If anything needs to be shaken, then shake it now. And take a lie down on your back. Have a short rest on your back. And then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the mat. So we're going to have a stretch of the legs and the hips, but we're going to think about what's moving and what needs to move and what doesn't need to move. So as you rest with your knees bent and your feet on the floor, it's a very nice, comfortable position. And if you think about your hips, you can rock your hips backwards and forwards. As you rock your hips forwards, feel how the back of your waist lifts up away from the floor. It's like your back arches, your lower back arches. That natural curve of your lower back goes a bit more exaggerated. And as you tilt your hips back, the back of your waist squeezes down on the floor. And there's a neutral place. Find what feels neutral for you. So it depends what your lower back is like. We're all different. For me, I've got a little gap of air behind the back of my waist when I feel my hips are neutral. But for you, you might feel it, but it should feel light on the floor if you do feel it. Certainly it doesn't feel pulled away from the floor, and it doesn't feel heavy on the floor. Remember that feeling, and then stretch both legs out along the floor. Stretch them out straight, like parallel legs. And then feel what your lower back does now. Probably the back of your waist lifts a little bit more away from the floor. And it's quite difficult to roll your hips back and get the back of your waist to be heavy on the floor. And that's because you stretched out your legs, the fronts of your thighs, the very tops of the fronts of your thighs, your hip flexors, they've come to kind of towards their limit of stretch. And they would need to extend even more to let your hips roll back and to let your lower back heavy on the floor. So just awareness of how the angle of your legs affects your hips, affects your back as well. We're going to start with our knees bent though. So then it's a more neutral, relaxed position with the hips. And we're just going to move the legs. So our intention is just to move the legs, but if we were to tilt the hips at all, we'd feel it in the lower back, as you've just found. If you tilt your hips back, your lower back pushes to the floor. If you push them forwards, then your lower back lifts up. So right knee comes onto your chest, and you're going to hold around the back of your thigh. So feel what that does to your lower back, and just adjust so that if your lower back is, or your back of your waist has pulled down towards the floor, can you make it that more neutral position? Because as we pull the leg in, we kind of want it to go further than it naturally wants to go. And so it's not just the thigh bone moving in the hip socket, the whole hips move to let us think we can go further than we can. So be aware. And it doesn't matter if you do curve your, if your back does pull to the ground and your hips roll. I'm just suggesting that you be aware of it and minimise it as much as you comfortably can. But it's awareness really more than anything else. So with your neutral spine, you're now going to stretch your right leg straight. So you might need to take your hands away from interlocked at the back of your thigh, but give it a bit of support if you can. Find a straight right leg, and you can push your heel gently up to the ceiling. Once your leg is straight and angled, sorry, the leg is reaching up to the ceiling. Marcus, I think that's you that's not got your legs stretched up. Yeah. Yeah, you want it as high as it will go. Sorry. So feel what your back is doing. It might feel like your tailbone's peeling up off the floor, so heavy it down. Might feel like your right hip is swinging a little bit out to the right side, so bring it into the centre line. And then extend your left leg out along the floor. So if that's too much of a stretch with your left leg out, then bend your left knee again and place your foot on the floor. Feel what your lower back wants to do. It might be that your left leg stretching out has rolled your hips back into that neutral position again. Still sliding your right hip into the centre line because it may want to widen out to the side. Both heels push away. Backs of both thighs pushing away as well. So it's like the back of the right thigh lengthening and broadening, the back of the left thigh pulling down to the floor. Then bend your right knee, just ease it comfortably in towards your chest, and place your foot back down on the floor. I'm sorry I said that to you, Marcus. If it's a struggle to get your leg up, maybe if you have a belt to hand, I don't know if you have, but if you've got belt to hand, yeah, good. So right foot on the floor, left knee onto your chest. So you're just going to squeeze your left knee gently in. Once you've squeezed it in, relax your shoulders, relax your hips, and then feel what's going on in your lower back. Can you find that neutral place again? Even if it means you can't squeeze your knee in as tightly. And then extend the left leg up towards the ceiling. Make it straight if you possibly can, and if it's straight, then you can angle it towards you to give you that bit of stretch. See what's going on in your hips again. So lightness in the back of your waist. Even left and right in the corners, the lower corners of your back, your hips. For me, I have to think about the left hip just gently drawing in slightly. Re-stretch the back of your left leg. And then extend your right leg. If you did before, extend this one. If you didn't and you don't want to, then have your knee bent. So your right heel pushes away. The back of the right thigh squeezes towards the floor. both legs are straight. Are they completely straight? Can you hold them straight? They don't like to hold straight. It's almost like you have to remind yourself every few seconds and then they'll go straight again. Bend your left knee, squeeze it gently in, and then stretch your left leg out as well. Take your feet a little wide apart, let your legs flop, arms away from your sides, palm face up, have a moment there. And then bend your knees again. Feet on the floor. Right knee onto your chest, hands around the back of the thigh once again. But this time, as you draw your knee towards you, don't draw it over your chest, draw it over towards your right armpit, so a bit out to the side. And if that means your left leg drops out to the side as a counterbalance, that's fine, let it do that. You're going to pull your right toes up towards your right knee. And keeping your right knee as much over your right armpit as you can, just extend the right knee a little bit so that the foot starts to look up towards the ceiling. So your knee stays as low down towards your armpit as it can, but the shin becomes vertical. And then walk your hands up your right shin. So you won't be able to take your right fingers over the outside of your right foot or the inside of your right foot, or you could hold on to your ankle or hold on anywhere on your leg where you can. Soften your hips, soften your shoulders. Ease your knee down towards your armpit. Just soften your hips. It's like a happy baby, but just on one side. Yeah, so test, yeah, that's it. Foot points up towards the ceiling. That's it. Yeah, Gillian, if you can walk your hands up your leg a little bit. Can you see how I'm holding right up here? Yeah, so bend your knee. So knee as close to the floor as it will go outside your body. Release your leg. Gently, gently bring your foot back down onto the floor. And then right knee onto your chest. So hold behind the back of the thigh. And as you ease it in towards you, it's going out towards, so that it's over your armpit rather than over your chest. That's it, left leg. And right knee can drop out to the side or do whatever it wants to do. So you're getting that initial stretch in your hip. And then we're going to make it stronger by pulling the left toes up towards the left knee. Keep your knee where it is and your thigh where it is, but extend the leg a little bit, extend the knee joint. So the foot starts to look up towards the ceiling, and you can creep your hands, climb your hands up your left thigh. Hold your ankle, hold your foot, hold wherever you can, and then relax your shoulders, relax your hips. In your mind's eye, as you release your hips, your left knee will drop down by your left armpit. Nice. And then we're going to gently let go of the left ankle or the left leg. Slowly put the foot back down on the floor. Stretch your legs out, take a moment to rest. So turn your palms face up, let your legs flop. And then bend your knees. Roll to one side. We're going to come up to standing once again. We're going to take second warrior. In fact, we're going to take Parsvakonasana which is a standing posture facing the long edge of your mat. So if you can turn your mat long edge to your screen, that would be great. And if you can't, well, that's okay. Step your feet wide apart. Hands on hips. And then turn your left leg in, your right leg all the way out. I'm going to start with second warrior. So firm down through both feet. Lift yourself tall. So feel how your spine is vertical. Keep that verticalness of your spine. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, slowly bend the right knee. Bend it slowly so that you can keep pushing your left foot into the floor. And keep your spine vertical. So that right knee is pointing out towards the short edge of your mat. See how low your hips are comfortable to go. Take a quick look at your leg. If your ankle is, if your knee is, you want to creep your foot further out than your knee. I can't say it. Lovely. So you want a vertical shin or slightly sloping out the way that mine's sloping out. That looks lovely. And then stretch your arms wide out to the side. So shrug your shoulders up to your ears and then lower them back down again. Whole of the back of your body parallel to the wall behind you. So pull the right hip gently back. Pull the outside of the right knee gently back. Feel the whole length of the back of your arms and your shoulder blades parallel with your wall behind you. Grip down through the feet. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, see if you can sink a little bit lower. Turn and look over your right fingers if that feels comfy on your neck. So a breath in, ground down through your feet. Exhale, sink. One more breath in. One more breath to sink. And breath in to come all the way back up. Hands on your hips. Turn your toes to the front. Right leg turns in. Left leg turns out. Torso to the front. So if a laser beam came out of your tummy button, it would be, I can't think of any words today, it would be parallel with the short edges of your mat, perpendicular to the long edge of your mat. So ground down through your feet, take a breath in, exhale, slowly bend the left knee, keep gripping down into the floor with both feet. Spine stays upright. To keep the spine upright, it's like your right hip has to be the one that sinks. It's like a downward motion here. Lovely. Quick check of your knee and ankle. So make sure your ankle is forwards of your knee or underneath it. And then turn to the front again. Shine your laser beam out to the front. Stretch your arms out wide. Firm your feet once again. Take a breath in. And then exhale, sink. Turn, look over your left arm. Breath in, ground down. Breath out, sink. One more breath in. Exhale, sink. Breath in to come up. Hands on hips. Turn your feet to the front. And then cautiously heel toe or step your feet to hip distance apart. Forward fold here to give a bit of release to the lower back. Uttanasana. So hands on hips. A breath in, lengthen the front of your body. As you exhale, hinge from your hips. Your chest stays lifted. You can feel your hips hinging forwards. Then take a bend of your knees. Once your knees are bent, let gravity take your shoulders. Let them just hang down towards the floor. Release your hips, take a hold of the opposite elbow with each hand. Let your head and neck relax as well. Stay there. So your feet are grounded down into the floor. As your feet push into the floor, you feel your legs engage, but you're giving your upper body to gravity. Is there any resisting that your upper body is doing? And if there is, can you let it go? A bend in your knees gives your lower back a good bit of stretch. Release your elbows, fingers towards the floor. Bend your knees some more. Tuck your tailbone under, tuck your chin in, and roll yourself back up to standing. Step your feet wide again. Side angle stretch, Parsvakonasana. So we're going to go in slightly different to how we normally go in. Hands on hips, left leg in and right leg out. So nice and wide. If you had to adjust your legs before, creeping your foot away, then maybe go a little bit wider this time. Torso to the front. Feet gripping the floor. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, bend your right knee nice and slowly. As you exhale, go a third of the way down. Then take a breath in. Ground down through your feet. Exhale, sink another third. Another breath in. Ground down through your feet. Exhale all the way down. So hold steady there. Your legs aren't going to move. Your feet are going to take care of that. Lift your left arm up to the ceiling. So left foot down, left fingers up. How much distance? If you had a piece of elastic between your foot and your fingers, stretch it longer. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, lean yourself over to the right. Stretch that elastic some more. Sink your hips if you can and take your right elbow on your right knee. Find that straight diagonal line. So keep pushing the back foot into the floor and stretching your elastic. Your tummy button wants to turn to the floor, so turn it away from the floor. Tuck in your chin, look up towards the ceiling if that's comfy on your neck. You're looking in front of your arm. Elongate both sides of your body. The more you press into the floor with your feet, the more length you can find in the sides of your waist. Keep breathing steadily, we're not here for long. And top hand behind your back, palm face out. Look down at your right foot, let your shoulders relax. Push into your right foot and with your next in-breath come all the way back up. Hands on your hips. Turn your feet to the front. So feet still wide apart. The right leg turns in, the left leg turns out. Remember, we're going to take 3 breaths to go down. As you go down, make sure your left knee points out to the short edge of your mat. Tummy button stays around as much as it can to point directly forwards. And spine stays vertical. So the more you press down into your feet, the easier that's all going to be. Breath in. Exhale, 1/3 down. Breath in again, ground down. Exhale, sink. Breath in again. Exhale to your full. And then really use your feet. Let your right arm drop down and then lift it up. So feel your elastic between your right foot and your right fingers. Hold it tight. Take a breath in. As you exhale, lean yourself over to the left. So you can get your left elbow on your left knee. You can sink your hips a little bit. Stretch out your elastic. So the back foot has to press really hard to make it as long as you can be. Tummy button turns away from the floor. If you want, tuck in your chin. Look up at the ceiling in front of your arm. Slow, steady breaths. Keep being longer and longer. Both sides of your waist can be long. And top hand behind your back, palm face out. Look down at your left foot. Turn your shoulders that way as well, let them relax. Press down into your left foot, breath in to come up. Hands on hips. Toes to the front. Heel toe your feet back in. Stand still for just a moment. On a warm day, the heat builds really quickly just now. I've got a cool room in here and now I feel really hot. So take a lie down on your back once again. Have your knees bent. Have a moment on your back to rest. Let your breath settle back down to a comfortable pace. Slide your arms wide out to the side, palm face up for a twist. So arms are wide out to the side, knees are bent, feet on the floor. Slide your hips a little bit over to the left side of your mat, so your spine's slightly on the diagonal. And then bring both knees onto your chest. Tuck them up nice and high. Keep them tucked up high. Take a breath in. Exhale, roll your legs to the right. So onto your right hip. Coming into a twist. So see if your right leg can find the floor. You can look up at the ceiling, or you can turn and look over to the left, whatever feels most comfortable for your head and neck. If it feels good to place your right hand on your left knee as a bit of just a bit of security for it, stopping it springing up, then do. But if you'd rather have it stretched out, then that's fine too. Your left shoulder will be springing up away from the floor. Just do what you can to make it feel heavy. Imagine your tummy button moving towards your left hand, but without taking your hips, without rolling your left hip back. So you hold your left leg steady. Tummy button in your mind's eye slides towards your left hand. Maybe then your left shoulder feels a bit firmer on the floor. And if your right hand's on your left knee, stretch your right arm out along the floor. Bring both knees onto your chest. Roll onto your back. When you get there, then place your feet on the floor because you need to center your hips. Slide your hips a little bit over to the right side. Bring both knees onto your chest. Tuck them up nice and tight, even lifting your tailbone a little bit off the floor. Take a breath in. Exhale, both legs over to the left. So roll onto your left hip. Like the base of your spine now is turning to the side wall rather than to the floor. And if you want that extra bit of sort of security, left hand on your right knee. Looking up at the ceiling or turning out towards your right hand. Softening your legs. Softening your shoulders. Imagining your tummy button moving closer to your right hand. Your left hand's on your knee, then stretch your arm out. Gently roll onto your back. Once you get there, feet on the floor, center your hips. Just let your knees drop from side to side. Maybe take your feet a little wider apart and let that happen. So it's not a twist, it's just a bit of movement in your hips. And then stopping at the centre. We're going to finish today with a breathing exercise and then our final relaxation. So make your way up to sitting. We want to find a place where we can sit comfortably. If you really can't sit comfortably, I mean, you can even sit on your sofa or a kitchen chair, wherever you are, or blocks, or whatever you have to sit on, and however you can sit up comfortably. You can kneel, you can sit cross-legged, I'll say you can sit on a chair. You want to have your spine tall and lifted rather than slouching in any way. So do what you can. If you get uncomfortable, then move. You can change positions. You can lie down if you need to. You can lie down anytime, but it's more important that you're comfortable than you're sat up. But sitting up is good for a breathing practice. It gives you lift spine, open chest, and keeps you alert as well. So the practice we're going to do is alternate nostril breathing. So if you're not sure, the hand gesture that we're going to use is the right hand. So I'm going to show you if I'm a mirror. Your first two fingers curl into the palm of your hand so that your thumb can rest gently on your right nostril and your ring finger or both of those other fingers rest gently on your left nostril. So I'm now going to change over hands, so I'm using my right hand. You can have your eyes open if you feel like you need to be able to see. If you feel comfortable, then you can close your eyes. So I'm going to talk you through the sequence of closing a nostril one at a time and letting the air move up and down the unclosed nostril. There's a pattern. Look out for the pattern. It's not difficult. And so that once you've done it a couple of times through, I'm going to leave you to do it in the pace of your own breath. So you rest your thumb and your finger very gently on your nostrils, ready to close one nostril at a time. Sitting tall, relaxing your shoulders. Know that you can move whenever you need to. I'm going to start with a breath out through both nostrils. Close your right nostril with your thumb. Breathe in through your left. Close your left, breathe out through your right. No change, breathe in through your right. Change over, breathe out through your left. In through your left. Change over, out through your right. In through your right. Out through your left. So you change over nostril at the end of the in-breath, like at the top of the breath. So carry on in your own time. At the beginning of the class when we did our breathing, we took a count of 4 to breathe in and 4 to breathe out. So as you do your alternate nostril breathing, find that same count of 4. It may take a few cycles of breath before you can establish it. Find a comfortable count of 4 to breathe in, 4 to breathe out. I'm going to change it very slightly. So when you change your nostril at the top of your in-breath, you're going to take a pause. So you'll breathe in for a count of 4, you'll pause for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4. No pause, breathe in for a count of 4, pause for a count of 4, out for a count of 4. And in your mind's eye, follow the air as it moves through the individual nostrils. And while you take the pause, take your attention to your eyebrow centre. One more change, if you would like it, is to extend the count of the out breath. Maybe to 6, maybe to 8. Continue until you next take an out breath through your left nostril. And when you have your return to natural breathing, rest your hands. Then quietly remove any blocks that you're sitting on. Lie yourself down on your back. So final relaxation. Make yourself comfortable. So just feel that position that you land in on the floor, and then make any adjustments if you feel you could make it more comfortable. Bring your attention back to your breath. Maybe you can sense the air through both nostrils as you breathe. Noticing if either one feels more clear than the other, or if they both feel the same. If it feels like 2 nasal passages or just one. Make your next exhale be a little deeper than the previous ones, and then from there take 3 slow, deep breaths. Once you've taken your 3 breaths, then back to natural breathing. Reach your arms beyond your head. Take a big stretch out to the wall behind you. And bring your legs together, push your heels away, pull your toes up towards you. And then point your toes away. Release the stretch. Bend your knees so that you can place your feet on the mat. And then bring your knees onto your chest. A hand on each knee, and then let your hands guide your knees around in a big circle. And then take the circle the other way. And then change the circle for a rock side to side. Take a quick check to see which side you can roll onto, where the space is, and then take that big roll onto one side. Gently back up to sitting. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me.